Are you a player of The Division? Do you know anything about the story or the characters involved? Have you given your in-game character a story or some motivation? Do you gear them a particular way because you have an idea in your head of what role in the fire team Johnny Iceman Gant fills? Or are you wrinkling your forehead wondering what the hell I'm talking about? Hi, I'm Mighty Mr. Mustache, the mightiest mustache in the universe, and today we're talking about some future direction for The Division. It's a great little game. A lot of people are enjoying it, and it's an RPG style shooting game. RPG in this case does not stand for rocket propelled grenade, but role playing game. This is why it's in the third person, so you can see your character out there on the firing line, taking cover and popping up to shoot at enemies who taunt you and scream for support. It's why you can build four-man teams and back each other up with healing and buffs. As an almost 40-year player of role-playing games, I can tell you that there are some things that are absolute poison to have in any game of this type. And the number one thing is a math whiz who spends his entire gaming experience trying to figure out if he can make 2 plus 2 equal 5. There's an equivalent in RPG video games. That's the player who immediately skips cutscenes because they don't care less about the story behind the game. The player who only thinks in terms of the meta of the game. That's the knowledge that he has that the character he's playing should not have. The meta is that math-based calculation that shows what combination of individual pieces can be used to build the most powerful character possible, even if power is not really the target of the game. And no one embodies that sort of math-skilled gamer who barely knows what the game is called, like the YouTubers who are out there talking about this type of game. They spend countless hours making spreadsheets showing how a gun has a 1% average over a different gun, or how a certain gear piece is going to make the game unplayable in 2 months, all while ignoring the beauty of a game that accurately depicts a ravaged and torn city of New York, complete with weather effects and Google Street View visuals. Maybe they need to put down the calculator and actually play the game sometimes. There has been a virtual argument going on in the comments of 2 videos by 2 respected YouTubers who cover the division. With Massive hosting another elite task force like the one that gave its feedback on patch 1.4, people like Marco Style and SkillUp have been producing videos talking about what they would love to see happen to the PvP aspect of the division. Massive has stated that the next big patch, 1.6, will cover mostly PvP, and this elite task force is gathering to talk about exactly what's going to happen. The argument I mentioned is over points of view. SkillUp is still singing his old song about more defined roles and less diversity in the PvP meta, sorry. He's been suggesting this for the entire game almost since it was released. The idea is to limit the potential for each character to be built any way you like, instead bringing in a system where you choose your character based on a class, like a healer or a defender or whatever, and then build from a selection key to those classes. It's not right or wrong as far as ideas goes, it's just an idea. This would, in SkillUp's opinion at least, make the Dark Zone a more level playing field, as it would allow even very new players to slip into a better defined role and compete with some hope of winning. It's certainly no secret that the current Dark Zone is very unbalanced, with multi-man squads running and gunning through the streets and able to take on almost impossible odds due to a meta that is very easy to find all over the internet. Basically, a new player to the game has some serious homework to do if he ever wants to play in the PvP and have even a slim chance. SkillUp, the YouTuber, figures a radical shift in player design, even if it's only for the PvP aspect of the game, would bring it in line with other shooters of its type and level the playing field. You could choose your class, and it would have a limited selection of weapons, gear, and skills keyed to it. While a certain meta would still likely be dominant, it would be easier to adjust that meta with hotfixes, and the build meta would no longer trump player skill as the major factor in PvP success. That, of course, assumes that you believe any of what SkillUp suggests is true, that builds are what make you a winner in the Dark Zone, and that there are no effective keys to pick those particular locks. It also isn't hard to see that SkillUp has fallen back on his original idea of a class-based character system in the division. We have to ask how much of that idea is about fixing the current issues and how much is flogging his favorite concept. I don't know if I agree or disagree, but it seems that he's falling back on an old argument. Regardless of the motivation, his ideas are out there and have come into conflict with those of another YouTuber called Marco Style. Marco is well known for his content on the Division, especially if you like to be up to date on the current game meta. He dedicates hours of his time to building spreadsheets and doing mountains of math in order to point us in the direction of the ultimate builds, even if he's often using that to demonstrate how the game is failing to address that it does have an uber powerful meta. It's sort of his way of pointing out that if he can figure out some of this math, then Massive should be way ahead of him. With Massive set to make changes, and Skill Up suggesting that the meta be nearly eliminated, Marco has come out saying that to do so would somehow ruin the game for him and make it just another generic cover-based shooter. That one's funny in particular, since a look at any of the top PvP players' videos shows that they never use cover anyway. They just circle each other, shooting and popping skills until someone dies. I've always compared it to a bunch of little kids playing soccer. It's literally a horde of 5-year-olds chasing a ball around in a huge cluster. It's adorable and comical, and it has nothing to do with the idea of a cover-based shooter. Marco's viewpoint isn't wrong either, but telling the game-playing world that he's somehow entitled to have the game play his way because he was here first is immature in the extreme. And while I do enjoy your content, Marco, feel free to leave the community if it no longer suits you. I'd rather see 1 million new players come into the division and revitalize it with an all-new PvP content than watch it die a lingering death as you and 5 of your buddies keep the last PvP server alive. The same thing goes for Skill Up and Upper Echelon and Like Butter and me and every other YouTube content creator doing anything involved with the division. We own a copy of the game and the right to play it and nothing else. The fact that Massive is listening to us and taking our suggestions to heart gives us a big responsibility. Truth be told, I almost never play in the Dark Zone, and I probably never will be a big Dark Zone player. If you were to ask me what might create a change worth having in the PvP part of the division, I would suggest that making the Dark Zone a friendly fire area at all times would change things in a massive way. Yes, I am always going to make that pun at least once in every video. It's just too easy. It's hard to make a giant cluster of players spraying bullets. It's hard to manage a giant cluster of players spraying bullets at each other when you have to stay out of each other's line of fire. You suddenly need things like tactics, fields of fire, and cover. The game takes on a whole new aspect that sees skills and marksmanship and communication play huge roles in every engagement. The community at large is asking for a dedicated PvP arena for those who really want to just mix it up without the added NPCs and extraction mechanics. And I think that's also a really good idea. It's something that the game could use. Any new content is something the game could use. We need to be willing to embrace change, just like we did in 1.4, and have faith that the changes will serve mostly to improve the game we play. No matter what happens, try to remember that this is supposed to be a fun role-playing game. Take some time, build a character who you feel like you know, who you understand and enjoy playing. Maybe we'll meet out there somewhere on the mean streets of Manhattan, cowering behind a van, reloading our favorite AK-47 while our buddies cover us. That might be what the game really needs, is for players to come in and treat it like a game. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to my little rant, and go out and see all the other videos that I mentioned and make your own decision. Let me know what you think in the comment, and like, support, and share, and support a fellow gamer out there. I'll be talking to you again soon about the Division and putting up more Division Let's Play. Until then, have a great day and have some great gaming. Bye-bye.